The year is 1997, and Daft Punk's first live album, Alive in 1997, hits store shelves. Mike Tyson takes a bite out of Evander Holyfield, and the passing of Princess Diana shocked the world. Steve Jobs returns to his position as head of Apple Computers, and a little-known German company by the name of Access Music released the Virus A. On this episode of Great Synth Mysteries, let's examine Access, a company that hasn't seen a major product release in almost a decade, their rabid fan base who can't seemingly get a straight answer, and a synthesizer that went from bleeding edge to bleeding out. This is Whatever Happened to the Access Virus. Finding the answer as to what happened to the Virus line of synth starts at looking at the founder of Access Music and creator of the Virus synth, Christoph Kemper. Looking at his history tells you a lot about his mindset as a coder and musician. Writing assembly code on the Commodore 64 and ZX Spectrum starting way back in 1986.
The Commodore Family Pack now available from your Commodore dealers and major retail stores. Now that's value for money.
Are you keeping up with the Commodore? 'Cause the Commodore's keeping up with you.
Christoph would go on to code various simple effects such as chorus and delay. Soon after, he had a breakthrough, and I think he explains the start of what could have been the Virus best with his words.
I had always the dream that if I can't be a professional musician, I would still like to stay in that business, but then on a technical basis. So first I planned to be a sound engineer, but then later I thought like maybe deep studies are even better because I can do more with it, and maybe at the same time I learned what a sound engineer must know, which was actually the case. Yes, I started to code digital filters. And there I found out that I made something that sounded really good, and I could modulate it very fast, much faster than any product I could buy for money, right? And then I thought like it was about a self-consciousness. It was like, oh look, I made something that you can't buy. So, well, I have some skills, I thought, right? So then I continued. That was like a good point to continue.
With its aggressive analog textures, the Virus Series A synth became a staple of many acid, electronic musicians, and enthusiasts the world over. Seemingly coming out of nowhere to be squarely placed at the forefront of analog modeling synthesizers, the knobby interface, and a bold red faceplate that was unlike many synths of the time, sporting analog model waveforms, filters, LFOs, and even a vocoder, the Virus gave you much more than you could have asked for in a market hungry for a new sound. Following up with the Series B in 1999 and the Virus C in 2002, Access truly hit their stride with creating a much more powerful and pose-worthy piece of kit. Polyphony ballooned to 32 voices, the modulation matrix was expanded, and the Virus KC introduced the most keyboard-looking synth and probably the most well-known version of the Virus line. Around the same time, Access released the Virus TDM, a software version of the Virus line, and followed this up with the Virus Indigo TDM. The Virus Ti was released in 2005, and I think Vintage Synth Explorer puts it best. Arguably the pinnacle of DSP-based digital synthesis at the moment. It could easily be written off as a Virus C with an added supersaw, but the many improvements suggest revolution, not evolution. Granular and format sources based on wavetables, supersaw mode for larger-than-life unison effects. This was the quintessential synth of its time. Absolutely nothing could touch it. Its integration using USB truly made its ability to interface with your DAW second to none. In the age of plugins, the Virus truly was like none other. The last of the Access synth line, the Virus Ti2, was released back in 2009. The Ti2 boasted improved DSP processing, a more streamlined design, and new audio effects such as character control, tape delay, and a revision of the Virus 3.0 plugin. Maybe it goes without saying, but I'm sure you know two different types of synth enthusiasts out there. The person who loves the virus and the person who hates the virus. I can't really say why it has become such a polarizing piece of hardware, being that it was so ahead of its time. Access Music was one of the few companies to take a hard look at the synth landscape and boldly go where no synth had gone, well, before, and maybe since. Leaving the Virus line almost unchanged for a decade has truly split its former and potential user base at a crossroads, stating things like, "I cannot reach a support page," or "When are we getting a new virus? What's going on with the virus?" All this being said, what's the real story? Well, in my eyes, you have to look no further than the amp section at your local retailer. Notice anything familiar here? Well, Christoph has been busy applying many of the strategies he gained in the creation of the Virus to a line of amplifiers branded with his namesake. Hailed as a game changer by guitarists all over the world, the Kemper Profiler is the first digital guitar amp to really nail the full dynamic sound of a guitar and bass amp. This is made possible by the radical, patented technology and concept which they call profiling. With Kemper wares being shown off at Summer NAMM 2018 in Nashville, it's pretty easy to say that Christoph has a very full schedule and the Profiler line of amps has become the top priority. So, will there ever be a follow-up to the Virus, a successor to the Ti2, arguably one of the greatest synthesizers ever created? I guess it's really up to Christoph and his vision. Many have asked, and he always seems to give the same sort of answer.
Is the Access Virus going to evolve? What's going on with the Access?
Well, actually, there's not too much development going into the Virus these days, but
because it's kind of perfect.
Yeah, in a way, it's kind of perfect, and we, at the moment, I must admit, we put most efforts of the company in our new product range for the guitar player, which is the Profiler, but I can see in the not in the near future, but maybe a bit later, we will also put some more effort again into the keyboards.
No one can really say what stopped the Virus, or if it was nothing more than just a creation that seemed perfected in Christoph Kemper's eyes. Maybe further development turned into boredom, or maybe, just maybe, the Virus is meant to live in that special place as a modern-day classic, a signature synth that will stand the test of time, and much like the DX7, the definitive musical instrument of its era. Remember to like, subscribe with notifications, and thanks again for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next Great Synth Mysteries.